This is a military World War II era ARB aircraft radio. It was made by RCA in 1942, and it was used in a variety of different aircraft. And when the war ended, most of these aircraft were scrapped and the radios were taken out and they were sold to ham radio guys. And most of those guys, when they got these radios, they converted them so they could be run on civilian standard plug-in AC power. They originally were designed to have a remote control, which everybody got rid of, and instead put knobs on them like this. There was originally a cable thing that went in here that allowed the pilot of the aircraft to control it from the cockpit, and that typically got taken off. There was a control box that was typically not used when the ham radio guys converted it, and it was also powered by a device known as a dynamotor that was allowed it to run off the standard aircraft, military aircraft voltage, 28 volts. All that stuff gets scrapped when the radio is converted to standard line current. So basically what I'm going to do is describe all the stuff that was done to this one. Most of the stuff that was done to this was done by a previous owner, probably quite a long time ago. It did not have the ability to just simply plug it in and play it. It didn't have an internal power supply like most of these that were converted do, so I put one in. And I did some other stuff as well just to, clean it up, and I've spent a couple of days playing around with it and making it work better and better. So I can describe what was done and what I did and that sort of thing. Okay. Now, this is a transformer that I put in the radio to power it. It originally did not have anything here. There was originally the dynamotor thing here. That was removed, but the previous owner did not put anything like this in here. I had to do this, and this transformer apparently came from a piece of Fisher Hi-Fi equipment, and somebody apparently removed it from whatever Fisher console it came out of and donated it to California Historical Radio Society swap meet, flea market, and it just sat around in the flea market for a while, and then they eventually put it in a free pile, and that's where I got it from. And here it is installed in this radio, and it fits really good. I mean, the original mounting holes fit almost perfectly here, so it works really well in this application. And on the other side of this, I'm not going to show it, but on the other side of it there's a little power supply that I built. It has like 4 or 5 capacitors and some a dropping resistor to drop the voltage down to 225 volts DC. I also, this transformer also has 3 different 6-volt tube filament windings in it. So what I was able to do was I was able to tie 2 of those filament windings together to get 12 volts, so I could run the 12 volt tubes that are in the radio. Now I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit. I've got it on AM right now, so I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit.
Go to carbonite.com today and save up to 30%.
I'll tune across the band here. It's on the AM band, which is kind of unusual.
1 and 68.
It's kind of unusual for a military radio like this to even have an AM band. Most of them did not. You know, a broadcast band. Most of them avoided the broadcast band. This radio is continuous coverage from about 200 kilocycles all the way up to a little past 9 megahertz. So, and it's able to do that because they have 2 different intermediate frequencies in there. They have, I think it's 135 kilohertz for the AM broadcast band, and 915 kilohertz for the shortwave bands. And there's 4 bands here. There's a long wave band, there's a AM broadcast band, medium wave, and then there's 2 shortwave bands. One of them goes from 1.6 to 4.5 megacycles, and one of them goes from 4.5 to 9.05 megacycles. And so basically you will get, you know, it's a bit lower in coverage. The top end is a bit lower in coverage than most other shortwave radios, but you can get 75 meters and 60 meters and 49 meters and 41 meters for standard shortwave coverage, and 80 meters and 40 meters for ham radio coverage. And this radio does in fact have a BFO on it, so you can get ham radio broadcasts. You can get a SSB on it, but you have to do kind of a gain writing thing to do it, because this radio is too old to have any kind of a product detector. Okay. One of the other features that this radio originally had was it had the ability to have a loop plugged into it, so it could do some kind of signal seeking capability. And as a result, when you tune it to the shortwave band,
questions, your thoughts on any of the programming that you hear on our radio. Now, if you don't have internet access, you can always write us.
When you tune it to the shortwave band,
Sun Power Radio, PO Box 690069.
There's a relay that can kick in that will.
Once again, that address is Sun Power Radio.
That will control whether it is receiving broad.
We hope that you've enjoyed this message.
Broadband or narrowband shortwave. So this now is set up for narrowband, which is usually what you want because the broad is too broad.
Please write us at
so
P.O. Box
The
69.
way I did that,
Vero Beach, Florida.
I set it up so that I could get either narrow or broad, and in order to do that you have to figure out a way to get the relay to kick in
USA.
at will. What I did, the relay is normally 24 volts, so what I did was I created a voltage doubler circuit, which is over here,
From studios with WWII
and
in Okeechobee, Florida.
that, and hooked it to the 12 volt filament line, and that allowed it to double the voltage to 24 volts, so I can trigger the relay through a switch on the front panel here. So when I flip the switch, you can see that the relay kicks in and out as I flick the switch.
One microphone, one mission.
Now when I flip that switch, it goes to broad.
For the days of that.
And then I flip it back, it goes to narrow.
Or the dollars of Protestantism, of Buddhism, or Mohammedanism. No, my friend, the same Jesus, the one, glory be to God, and was it.
Now, at the time, I really don't know how useful this feature is in a civilian context. The broad is really pretty broad, but I guess if I ever want to use the feature, I'll have it. I've already put it on, so I might as well use it.
That the overcomer ministry would be done at the end of the. Well, we're already past.
Just a kid.
He tells us Labatt's Sunday. That means it's time for another program of Weekly Review. News stories like the best covered here on Radio Havana, Cuba. Thanks for joining us on this sunny Sunday here in the Cuban capital. Let's jump right into it. Lots of things happening this past week. U.S. President Barack Obama signed a $1.8 trillion spending and tax cut package.
What kind? Chief Scott or Melissa?
Took out my hand over $700,000.
Provides a
And we took it over there to the big shop there in Alamosa, and it thawed out for about 9 hours, and it finally, things turned out to be able to crank over. But it was, things don't move too good at that temperature, for sure. I mean, especially if it's not made for it, you can get oil, for real cold weather like that.
This radio has a cool little
5
window.
hours, 6 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
This radio has a cool little window that allows you to see what you're tuning.
Technology. Those who are unsaved, including millions who go in the name of Christian, but who have never had
What? The truth they will receive.
Anyway, that is pretty much it. The radio works pretty good. I've been playing around with it for a couple of days, and it seems to work fine. I'll give it some AM band.
Upside down by its tail.
The video was posted a week ago Saturday on Facebook. It shows a woman holding a dog by its collar, throwing it along a paved parking area.
She carries the dog.
Hour number 3.
Glad to be with you.
Bob Wischusen of the New York Jets ESPN Radio Network. That's the call of the day, brought to you by Ring.
And your blood shall be upon your head for your
Button.
How does she go about
What had happened after that coin toss?
Once again, 1-877-49 Steve.
And a woman with dark hair.
She could be facing.
you able to continue to work like you did before the Silla?
Hi, Gary. How are you today?
privacy, how to make money, how to save money? Well, I'll tell you, the list goes on and on. Now, let's just say we cover everything digital. Boy, and I'll tell you, I had a really tough week.
To TCF Bank Stadium, which is...
And I realized the training for Ironman is...
Because they're just...
We fell in love.
Porque en este no puede participar, por ejemplo,
See what your friends are doing. And if they're talking about Chardonnay or Cabernet...
Okay, yeah, as you can see, it's pretty sensitive. It's not a bad radio at all. I love the way it's built mechanically. It's got all kinds of, everything is metal, and it's, you know, this radio is probably about 70 years old, and by all means it could probably last another 70 years. It's built to a standard that no civilian radio could ever match. It's probably cost the government quite a bit of money when it was new. And that's basically it. It's a very nice radio. It's a good Christmas 2015 holiday project, and I've had a lot of fun putting this thing back together. So, military ARB radio. This one's definitely a keeper.